Is what you do each day pulling you toward the person, the version of yourself which you admire? Because if we break it down to simple yes or no, this is one of the more powerful things to do, to ask simple yet powerful questions that get you to an answer, which is either yes or no. So in this case, we need to figure out, like, are the things that we're doing each day actually effective in moving us where we would like to be? And that's not an easy question, because the mind, there's these concepts, denial and self-deception. It's not too hard for us to create traps to trick ourselves. So then this is where the theory of simplification becomes so powerful, because you make it so that, okay, I'm going to ask certain questions. I'm going to do certain habits. I know where I want to go. And therefore, if you simply pay attention to the feedback that you're receiving, then you'll get answers. But just because feedback is either positive or negative, it feels good in the moment or it doesn't feel good in the moment, that itself is not the differentiation of what is quality and bullshit feedback. For example, you could get amazing feedback that stings, that breaks your heart in the moment. But just because it hurt in the moment, does that mean that it wasn't valuable feedback? No, it was valuable, as long as you will take the lesson from the pain in the sting. And on the other hand, sometimes you'll go on winning streaks that are complete luck. And what am I getting at there? It's saying that the feedback is not necessarily linked. The moment, the in the moment pleasure that you feel, it's not necessarily going to tell you, well, this was valuable or this wasn't. Because, well, you've heard this before, usually the mistakes and the losses are what teach you more. So where I'm going here is, we have to identify the things which drain our energy, and we have to be listening to those things. If getting more done with less effort is interesting, well, you have to understand where and what to do, and when to do what, and who to be what with. So the first piece that is priceless for us to become clear on is simply, does this drain me or does this charge me? And where I'm going there specifically is our input and our responses. So first, with our input, it's divided into two categories: physiological and psychological. And when you can consume something which is energetic for your body, you will feel it, as long as you're not numbed and distracted. For example, if you go and chew on a bag of processed chips, you're going to feel sluggish in the near future. But I can't tell you that. You have to, okay, now you've been given an opportunity. Next time you eat processed food, now, okay, let's pay some attention to how it leaves you feeling. And then you ask, well, is this how I would like to continue feeling? And then with knowing when to do what, essentially, it's linked to what I just said. So you feel a certain way. For example, after eating even healthy food, your digestive system is a high energy consumption area. Nicely phrased. My point is that, okay, you know you just consumed some food and your digestive system is going to be just using a lot of energy. Therefore, you can do something so simple and productive. It's essentially like triple multitasking in a healthy way. You go for a walk, you speed your digestive system up, and then you can listen to an audiobook or, have a conversation, something like that. So you're getting so much done. And this is essentially the crux, the foundation of doing less, no, doing more with less effort. Because, well, what I just said there, it's not anything super profound. It's just understanding a few different systems and how, well, if you're washing dishes, the water spraying, you hear it's loud, you're getting wet. That's not exactly the ideal time to be listening to an audiobook. Sure, you could. I'm not saying you can't, but it's easier to knock out like 3 things at once when you go for the walk, you speed up digestive system, and listen to an audiobook. Maybe the dishes wasn't the worst example. I mean, it's not something I do personally, but hey, like if I'm vacuuming, I like to listen to music on my amp while doing that. I mean, sure, I'm not educating myself, but I'm making something that could be annoying entertaining. And then I just, kind of dance while vacuuming. Why not? So it's understanding how to just make things maybe a bit more entertaining, your moments a bit more valuable, and just kind of being strategic about when you do what. And I believe I mentioned who to be what with. So this is an interesting one. It's not at all linked to the idea of wearing a mask or being two-faced, but there is a differentiation there because so you and I am always acting as myself. That being said, there are certain people whom I don't reveal everything about myself to, right? Because there are some people, for example, who do not fucking listen. So why am I going to go on a philosophical rant like this about the depth of energy and psychology, physiology, the depth of becoming a high value, free individual to someone who doesn't fucking listen? No. So that's an example of who to be what with. So how do you identify who to be what with? Well, there are the nonverbal factors of communication. And then there are the verbal factors too. For example, if you see someone is clearly an alcoholic and, well, when you interact with them, they're everywhere at once. They're not focused. Their attention span just isn't there. I'm not judging these people. Nothing wrong with these people. What I'm saying is just no need to go on a philosophical rant to someone. What's the saying? The master appears when the student's ready. That student isn't ready. So no point. And I said this, so I'm not going to say it again, but you understand. It's just feeling out people and understanding, okay, I see when I used to be at that stage when I knew everything, when I was closed-minded, when I had no interest in health and becoming a high-value individual. Well, if they're there, it's not at all our duty to force anything upon them. And again, you get more done with less energy by saving your energy there. See? The foundation to life is your energy levels. In every little moment that you can identify, oh, no need to do that then, no need to expend this energy there, you save that energy, you reinvest it more intentionally where you actually get a dividend from your investment. And then therefore it's like, okay, I do feel this. I'm getting much more done with less effort because you're being more strategic with your I don't know the word, your basket of energy. I wanted to articulate something much more poetic, but hey, it is what it is. So I'm gotta touch on feedback loops and specifically the power in thought that is derived from feedback loops in your life. For example, let's say I'll use the negative side first, then we'll turn it into the positive side. So you stay up late past bedtime. You eat processed food, you overeat, and just stuff yourself before bed. So you're getting not enough sleep. you're getting low quality sleep. But then, you still have to get up tomorrow, right? You still want to do a workout because you don't want to let yourself go, sort of thing. What that feedback loop has done is now you wake up, you're immediately overtired. So therefore, you're a bit negative and cranky, low frequency. And then you push through. You're a strong person, okay? Wow. But then now you're at the phase of working out, and it's just you feel bloated, you're still tired. It leads you to turn something, which, okay, getting up in the morning, doing a workout, if you look at it from the other side, where you go to bed on time, you get 8.5, 9 hours of high quality sleep, you didn't stuff yourself before bed, then you wake up. Your mind is clear. You're not thinking any sort of, oh, woe is me, this is hard. Like, no, you just feel naturally smooth and relaxed and good. You get into your workout. Well, you're not bloated. Again, your head doesn't hurt. You're well rested. That turns that healthy endeavor of waking up on time, training, it starts your day beautifully. But on the other hand, if you do what I said previously, then you turn something that's supposed to set your tone beautifully into a day of, I have to do this. Ugh, ugh. And you turn healthy habits into something that is such a chore because you've not set yourself up strategically. So to get more done with less effort calls for strategic thinking, understanding how the mind and the body works. And, well, I might as well go into saboteurs right here. So a few, like everyone has the judge. The internal judge is the main saboteur. But there are other ones like being a stickler, being a hyperachiever, and the hyperachiever, I feel, is probably one of the most common ones. There's also the victim and the avoider. So there's many different ways that we sabotage ourselves. But long story short is if we make the healthy habits in our life more difficult to execute upon through that example I said prior, like overeating, not getting proper sleep, essentially missing your fundamentals, then you raise the likelihood that your saboteurs are loud. And, well, hence, your mind is not clear because your saboteurs are loud and raving. So I forgot, who knows what I wanted to go into. I think talk about how my hyperachiever works. Why not? So the thing is, when you want to get more done with less effort, that could sound like the hyperachiever, but the thing is, the hyperachiever is not nearly that strategic. The hyperachiever is more like 12 hours, work, doesn't care about getting more done with less. Hyperachiever just wants more done. Delete the last part. So, see, when we're more strategic, we can actually outpace our hyperachiever by combining the pull of our heart, which is, well, for me personally, to stay fit, to do what I enjoy, to not work in a job which someone mindlessly is just telling me what to do. So I listen to the pull of my heart, but do it strategically, right? So for example, I'm 24. I still work a part-time job. It doesn't pay great. I don't have a brand new car. You see what I'm getting at here? I'm being strategic in where I put my funds. Point is, I have more money than a lot of 24-year-olds have saved. But if you just looked at it, no, you wouldn't necessarily. Like, you see, you cannot read or judge a book by its cover, essentially. Again, if you looked at me, you could see, well, my shirt's big, but I'm ripped, I'm jacked. But the thing is, if you judge me by the cover, you wouldn't understand how much of a nerd I am. I don't drink, I don't party. I go to bed at 6:30, 7 o'clock. I wake up at 3 a.m. I read. You get my point. I am not someone who the average Joe can understand easily. And I think that's entertaining, right? Unterhaltsam. That's entertaining in German. Learning. Ich lerne. That's funny. And see, again, it doesn't come down to pleasing everyone. Especially when you want to get more done with less effort, you have to realize that the energy that you have is so limited, in that every thought, every judgment, every grudge, all distractions that you have, when you are not focused on your internal thought process, you are wasting energy. And what I mean there is, the internal thought process, it doesn't have to be so chaotic. You can sincerely have a mind which is calm and centered even in tough situations. For example, there are things which I label ego triggers: money, traffic, driving, certain things. And I catch myself every day. I'll I'll start to blame someone else in the moment. And then I'll be like, oh, there you go. I'll catch it, I'll feel it, and just start to laugh at myself, or just take a breath. And then you notice, well, I feel my gut's friction that gets tense in that moment of that person. Then I go, oh yeah, now my gut's not tense anymore. Feels much better to be that way. You can hear it in my tone of voice too. Like, that person. It's not healthy. It's not fun to be so tense. And the thing is, many people are not aware that you have the power, the complete ability to regulate your internal state. It's easier said than done, yes, but that's why I'm here. That's why I'm ranting on it, because I personally realized, oh my gosh, my life, my old curses have now turned in my blessings, because I've learned how to use them consciously, how to regulate my internal state. There's a few foundational cores to getting more done with less, and it is built upon understanding your physical health, your psychological health, your financial position, your connections with others, your quality of the mind. It's all connected. Hence, the power in strategic thinking. So I went on that rant earlier about, I don't have a brand new car. You wouldn't be able to judge me by the cover. Point is, it doesn't matter what people think externally. What matters is those foundational pillars that I just labeled. And so I'm not saying this is a tricky thing, because I still feel my pull naturally. Would I like the new car, especially since I have the funds to just go buy one? Yeah, and it will come soon. You see, here's what I'm getting at, is especially around the financial position, you have to play the game strategically. I'm all for you and I getting wealthy. Thing is, most people look wealthy, but they're broke. So what you want to do is focus more on your skills, and your skills are founded on your energy, because you can't invest in self-education without proper energy. So you see the link here. And to have proper energy, to use it and to store it efficiently, you need to educate yourself on physiology and psychology. That's what we do here. Well, I do, and you are here. Okay. I'll explain what I just did there. I'm trying to use the words you and I more, because I'm learning in marketing and sales that we is not necessarily as enticing as saying you and I. So I just wanted to explain that, because, hey, maybe you're writing too. Maybe you have an idea or something you're aiming to market. So you and I, much more powerful grabs of attention. Selling is not always selling something physically. It can be selling a concept and an ideology, like big pharma. And okay, I digress before I go on a rampage. So when it comes to physiology and psychology, like, those are the primary pillars. Financials are also important, but physiology, you prioritize sleep. You don't eat before bed. You have like an 8-hour eating window. You avoid processed foods. You avoid foods with ingredient lists, like more than 5 ingredients. Drink, carry a metal water bottle around with you everywhere you go. Why not? Exercise frequently. I prefer to wake early because at nighttime is when I used to tend to do not the healthiest things. So now I just have it down. Okay, you go to bed early, you cut out that section of foolishness, you wake early. That's when my mind works best. There's much more to the physiology. That's off the top of my head. So psychology, not blaming others, understanding, well, there's a couple modes. You could be in a victim mindset, the least beneficial survival mindset, which is okay, but where you're thriving, where, you've passed that victim and survival mode. You take responsibility. So you have meaning in your life. You have a deep internal burn. Hence, you turn your pain into your purpose. You realize your old curses are actually blessings, because without that pain, you wouldn't necessarily have a deep purpose. But now you can actually use that as a beautiful source of fuel, a never-ending source of fuel. And psychology. Why not read a quote off my wall? Uncomfortable emotion is a signal to reflect upon your actions. Your view of the world is a confession of character. The world is not as it is, but as you are. So practically, how do we get there? We have to understand that perception is all independent on the lens that you're looking through. If I'm wearing a certain tint of glasses, I'm going to see the world through that tint. So point is, this is where I used to be like super conspiratorial, and well, there is a lot of, not exactly healthy things going on in our world. I understand. I hear you. But here's my question for you. Here's the thing. It's actually more of a statement. Energy is finite. We've talked about this. If you are putting your attention on something unhealthy like big pharma, and that's all you fucking think about, you are actually supporting big pharma, even if you're hating on it. Why? Because you're using your energy, it's going into big pharma rather than going into self-education, into your health, into your journey of who you're meant to become. See, you're not meant to be a big pharma hater. You're meant to be a solution seeker who creates a awareness, a brand, a message that is founded upon health and positivity that is so obvious that it uproots big pharma completely. See, hating on things does not do anything for anyone, but it just supports that which you're hating. You're wasting your energy. So I know that's a rant, and it took me a long time to accept that because, well, I used to be that person. Not necessarily, commenting and stuff, but definitely my energy was going more into, why is this like this? Why do they do this? How is this happening? Why is the world so bad? And then, no. Your view of the world is a confession of character. The world is not as it is, but as you are. If you are pessimistic, if you are fearful, if you are, anxious, jealous, you will consistently find that sort of energy being placed from you onto other things. So there is this differentiation that I will probably close with. High frequency energy versus low frequency energy. We go full circle. You're either being charged or you're being drained. Low frequency drains you, high frequency charges you. You have to understand and create the pathway where you are living in high frequency 99% of the time. And then when you have the 1% moments, like I was saying in traffic, oh, that's funny, Justin. So you catch yourself in the low frequency pole and you turn high frequency out of it. That is ego training. That is your pathway to becoming exactly what you know you're meant to become. Oh, and a few financial tips. Like, I'm not rich. I'm not here to be Grant Cardone, someone like that. Point is, live below your means. And easier said than done, right? Especially when everyone has a new car. Thing is, trust me, so many people are broke. So many people are slaves to the corporation. Huh? So make your differentiation there. And so live below your means. I would say understand how to get the most out of your money. For example, there are certain investments. Like, I think my office is beautiful. It's thousands of dollars in here. I've spent, not spent. Here's the differentiation. Invest your money, don't spend your money. Do not stack liabilities, stack assets. Yes, it's broad, but these are the financial pillars to freedom. And you just have to understand that. Like, yeah, I have a drift car or a street car. I'm not sure exactly which route I'm going. Point is, I have liabilities. The thing is, you need to be strategic with what liabilities you take on and to make sure that the things you own don't own you, right? And that's the story with the majority of people, is the things that they own actually own them. Again, with the phone, it's like, how many people can't even do a basic thing without checking their phone constantly? So the phone actually owns them. See, if you're intelligent, you use technology as a tool. You're not controlled by it. Okay, I digress. If you're interested, if you feel this high frequency energy radiating from this message, if you are curious on how you can become this sort of individual and have what I'm sharing, this won't be offered for long. I'm sincere when I say that. I'm 24. I'll do this for a bit. Point is, I have a one-on-one guidance offer. The umbrella is to cure your stress, to heal your anxiety. But to do that, there are many sub-pillars that we will be working on. Essentially, it's how you're going to become a high-energy individual, and that energy is going to lead you exactly where you know you're meant to go. Shoot me a DM on Twitter if interested. I'll have a link in bio. Help me out. If you would like, if this was valuable, share it with a friend, drop a like. If it's on YouTube that you're watching, if you're listening on the podcast, I'd appreciate a quick rating. It takes less than 30 seconds, only if it's valuable. That's all I say. If it's not valuable, then hey, ich verstehe, I understand. Tschüss.